The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud.
Sunny Hostin, her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit.
Something big is brewing, and it's not just another daytime drama. We're talking about real legal heat, FBI warrant-level heat, and it's all circling around the View's Sunny Hostin. Reports are swirling that she and her husband, Dr. Emanuel Hostin, are caught up in an insurance fraud scandal so massive it could shake the foundation of their careers. And the allegations? Let's just say they aren't small. We're talking about millions, stolen millions, according to insiders familiar with the case. If the whispers are true, this could be one of the biggest financial scandals to hit daytime TV in years. And let's not forget, this isn't just some messy tabloid gossip. There's a federal lawsuit involved, which means the government is taking this very seriously. The feds don't waste their time on baseless accusations, especially not when the numbers are this high. What's even more shocking is how quiet Sunny has been about all of this. No dramatic denials, no fiery rebuttals, just radio silence. And that silence, it's only making people more suspicious. Because if this was all just a big misunderstanding, wouldn't she be the first to set the record straight? What did they know? What did they do? And most importantly, what happens next? Because right now, things aren't looking great for the Hostins. If even half of these claims hold up in court, the fallout will be explosive. We're talking career-ending consequences. Jail time isn't off the table either. Just ask the long list of public figures who thought they could outsmart the system.
According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgery.
And let's be real, Sunny has spent years positioning herself as the voice of reason, the legal expert, the moral compass of The View. But this changes everything. How does she come back from this? How does she sit at that table and lecture anyone about ethics when her own name is being thrown around in a federal fraud case? It's not just a scandal, it's a full-blown crisis. Hang on. This is about to get very interesting. And the more we uncover, the messier it gets. This isn't just about some financial mishap. This is full-blown fraud on a massive scale. And the accusations just keep piling up. At the center of it all,
this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York. You guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia.
Dr. Emanuel Hostin. Now, for those who don't know, he's not just Sunny's husband. He's an orthopedic surgeon, a doctor, someone who's supposed to help people, but according to a bombshell lawsuit, he may have been doing the exact opposite. The lawsuit, filed by American Transit Insurance Company, paints a very disturbing picture. They're saying Dr. Hostin was performing unnecessary surgeries and fraudulent medical procedures, all in the name of making money. Imagine that for a second, people trusting him with their health, going under the knife, only to be used as part of some elaborate scheme to milk the system. And it doesn't stop with him. He's allegedly part of a much bigger operation. Nearly 200 people are being linked to this scheme.
Oh, he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange.
Which, if true, could mean tens of millions of dollars in fraudulent payouts. And here's where things get really serious. The case is being pursued under RICO. Yes, that RICO. The same law used to take down some of the most powerful crime syndicates in history. We're talking mob bosses, drug cartels, actual organized crime. If the feds are pulling out RICO, that means they believe this wasn't just some billing error or minor fraud case. This was a coordinated operation. And RICO, that's not something you can just brush off. It's the kind of charge that brings real consequences, long sentences, frozen assets, massive fines. Now, let's talk about what this actually means. Because this isn't just some insurance company trying to claw back a few dollars. This is the kind of case that could ruin careers and land people in prison. And when the government starts digging, everyone involved is at risk. They're not just looking at doctors. They're looking at who approved the payments, who coordinated the scheme, who benefited from it. And if Dr. Hostin is found guilty, it raises an even bigger question. Was Sunny involved? Did she know what was going on? Because when your spouse is pulling in millions and those millions turn out to be dirty money, it's very hard to claim you had no idea. And let's not forget.
But it's just, I mean, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to.
Sunny isn't just a random public figure. She's a former federal prosecutor, a legal expert, someone who has built her entire brand on ethics and justice. And now, her own household is caught up in a case using the same laws designed to take down criminal organizations. The irony is almost too much. And the fact that she hasn't come out swinging against these allegations, that's telling, because when you're innocent, you fight. When you're guilty, you stay quiet and hope it all blows over.
So we know Sunny Hostin and her husband, Dr. Emanuel Hostin, are preparing for a legal battle to fight accusations that he committed federal insurance fraud.
But this isn't blowing over anytime soon. The more details that come out, the worse it's looking. And if what's being alleged turns out to be true, this could be the scandal that ends everything. Careers, reputations, freedom, nothing is off the table. This is where things take an even darker turn. Because this isn't just about Dr. Emanuel Hostin anymore. Now all eyes are on Sunny. And let's be real, when your husband is accused of running a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme, people are going to start asking questions. What did she know?
And it's a very serious crime. In fact, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, RICO case in New York's history.
When did she know it? And maybe most importantly, did she help? Because here's the thing. Sunny isn't just some bystander. She's a former federal prosecutor. Someone who knows the law inside and out. Someone who has spent years calling out corruption, fraud, and unethical behavior on The View. And now, she's being linked to one of the biggest insurance fraud cases in recent memory. The irony is almost too much. And according to sources familiar with the situation, there's growing speculation that Sunny wasn't just aware of what was going on. She may have even played a role in covering it up. Think about it. Who better to help navigate a complex financial fraud than someone with deep legal expertise? Someone who knows exactly how to structure money, shift assets, and avoid legal pitfalls? It's a very convenient coincidence that her own husband is being accused of fraud that allegedly involves hundreds of individuals. And yet we're supposed to believe she was completely in the dark.
Sunny Hostin of The View, who's constantly raging about race and reparations and how bad America is and its racial past and all this stuff.
And let's not forget, this isn't just some little side hustle gone wrong. The scale of this operation is massive. We're talking about a scheme involving millions in fraudulent payouts. That kind of money doesn't just slip through the cracks unnoticed. So the idea that Sunny, a woman trained to detect and prosecute financial crimes,
on that panel. She is self-appointed. She knows everything. It's great to see her ego take this hit, but I think it will be short-lived.
It's amazing to listen to her talk about
somehow missed all of this happening under her own roof. It's raising a lot of eyebrows. Critics aren't buying it. In fact, they're calling out the blatant hypocrisy. How can someone who has built their career on morality and justice now be entangled in a case that could go down as one of the biggest scandals to ever hit daytime television? And let's be real, Sunny has never shied away from calling out corruption. She's made a career out of holding others accountable. But now, the tables have turned. And the way she's handling this, it's not adding up. If there was nothing to hide, wouldn't she be the first to clear her name? Instead, all we're getting is silence. No major statements, no fiery denials, just carefully worded damage control. And that's not a good sign, because when people are innocent, they fight back. But when people are guilty, they go quiet and hope the storm passes. And this storm, it's only getting stronger. The more we look into this, the messier it gets.
I think that it's very helpful that he's handy, and when we travel, I'm not picking up any bags. He's the one that's hefting them overhead. He throws the garbage out. Right. He does the heavy stuff.
There are whispers that Sunny may have even used her legal background to help cover tracks, shifting money around through complex financial maneuvers to keep authorities off their trail. If that turns out to be true, that changes everything. Because that wouldn't just make her an innocent bystander, it would make her a co-conspirator.
It does not look well when your name ends up with 200 people in a RICO investigation. This is the biggest investigation since Giuliani shook the tree and a bunch of mobsters fell out, right? This is big stuff. And so, and thank you for bringing that video. It sure is ironic that she's up there. So, but...
And if you think this is bad now, just wait. Because once the feds start digging, they don't stop until they find the truth. And if Sunny did have a hand in any of this, there's no talk show in the world that can save her. This is where things go from bad to downright disastrous. Because if the allegations weren't shocking enough, reports are now surfacing that FBI agents actually raided the Hostin's residence. And let's be clear, the FBI doesn't just show up at your house for no reason. When they execute a search warrant, it means they already have enough evidence to believe there's something big going on. And in this case, it looks like they were right. And what they allegedly found, it's making this whole situation look a lot worse. Sources are saying that agents discovered large sums of cash hidden throughout their home. Not just some emergency stash in a safe or a little spending money tucked away. Serious amounts of money. We're talking about stacks of cash hidden in places where nobody would expect to find them. Which raises one very important question. Where did it come from? Because let's be real, when someone is accused of financial fraud, and then investigators find undisclosed cash in their home, that's not a good look. At all. It screams guilt. It screams money laundering.
Totally different perspective on this. I don't really know what happened with this. The facts will come out. What I have a problem with is the core of who this woman is. Unlike you, I don't watch The View, bro. All I do is see clips. I know you.
It's like
twice a day.
Here's all I hear from her. America's violent, America's racist, America's bad. Okay.
And most importantly, it suggests that whoever stashed that cash knew something wasn't right. Because who keeps that kind of money lying around unless they're trying to keep it off the books? And it's not just about the amount, it's about the why. If everything was above board, why not have the money in a bank? Why not declare it? Why was it allegedly hidden? These aren't just questions the public is asking. These are questions federal investigators are now digging into. And if there's one thing we know about the feds, it's that they don't just suspect. They know things before they act, which means they're already connecting the dots, following the money trail, and looking for exactly how deep this goes. And let's not forget,
today's video comes to us from sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice.
This isn't just about Dr. Hostin anymore. If the FBI found that cash inside their home, it puts Sunny right in the middle of this mess. Because this isn't some rented apartment in his name. This is their shared home, their assets, their financial situation, which means, whether she wants to admit it or not, she's in this now. And when the feds start asking questions, I didn't know isn't going to cut it. And here's where things get even messy, eh? This is the same woman who built her entire reputation on ethics and accountability. The same woman who spent years lecturing the public about justice and fairness.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
The same woman who has gone after politicians, public figures, and corporate executives for financial crimes. And now, the evidence is starting to point in a very different direction. And so far, no real explanation, no denial, no statement addressing the elephant in the room, just silence. And that silence, it's speaking volumes. Because if this was all just a misunderstanding, wouldn't they be the first ones to set the record straight? Instead, all we're getting is the usual damage control, carefully crafted PR responses, vague dismissals, and a whole lot of nothing that actually answers the real questions. The more we uncover, the uglier this gets. And something tells me we're just getting started. If the FBI is already raiding homes and seizing assets, it means they already have a case. And once the feds start moving, They don't stop until someone goes down. The backlash has been immediate and brutal. Because let's be honest, Sunny Hostin has built her entire brand on accountability. She's spent years on The View calling out politicians, CEOs, celebrities, anyone caught up in scandals or unethical behavior. She's been the moral compass of the show, the legal expert, the one who always had the facts, the law, and the right stance on everything. And now, the tables have turned, and people are not letting her off easy. Critics aren't just questioning her, they're ripping into her. The word hypocrite is being thrown around a lot. Because how does someone who's spent so much time lecturing others on justice and integrity now find themselves at the center of a federal scandal? How does she sit on national television every morning talking about ethics when she herself is under federal investigation? It's not just a bad look, it's a career-ending look. And if she thought people wouldn't notice, she was dead wrong. Social media has erupted. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere you look, people are demanding answers. The hashtags are spreading like wildfire. Hashtag Sunny Hostin resign. Hashtag hypocrite Hostin. Hashtag fraud. Some are saying she should step down immediately. Others are calling for ABC to take action, questioning how they can justify keeping her on air while she's facing these kinds of allegations. And the longer she stays silent, the worse it gets. And let's be real, if this were anyone else, Sunny would be the first one demanding accountability. She'd be the first one dissecting every move, questioning every statement, and making sure the public didn't forget. But now that it's her name being dragged through the mud, suddenly it's all radio silence. No fiery monologue, no bold declarations of innocence, just vague statements and carefully controlled PR damage control. And people aren't buying it. Let's talk about The View for a second. Because this isn't just some casual morning talk show. It's one of the most watched, most opinionated platforms on television. It thrives on controversy, on tough conversations, on calling people out. But now...
Exactly, because if she is shaming descendants of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny. She is so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
One of their own is facing a scandal so big that it's impossible to ignore. And yet, so far, silence. No one on that panel is touching this. And that silence, it's deafening. How long can ABC pretend this isn't happening? Because this isn't just bad press. This is a PR disaster. And if Sunny doesn't address it soon, the damage might be permanent. This isn't something that will just blow over. The public isn't forgetting. The internet isn't letting this go. And the longer she waits, the worse it gets. At this point, there are only two options. Face it head on and try to salvage what's left of her credibility, or keep ignoring it and watch everything she's built come crashing down. But one thing is certain. This is not going away. And Sunny, she knows it. Something feels off on The View, and people are starting to notice. The show, known for its heated debates and unfiltered discussions, suddenly seems unnaturally quiet about one of the biggest scandals to hit one of their own. And that silence, it's only making things look worse. Sunny's co-hosts, usually the first to jump into controversy, have barely acknowledged what's going on. No side comments, no subtle digs, no awkward jokes, just nothing. And that nothing, it's loud. Because if there's one thing we know about The View, it's that nobody gets a free pass. When other public figures have been caught up in scandals, this panel has torn them apart. No hesitation, no mercy. But now that Sunny is the one under fire, everyone is walking on eggshells. Because, let's be real, ABC isn't just watching this unfold, they're calculating. This show is a brand, a business, and scandals like this, they can drag everything down fast. If advertisers start pulling back, if viewers start tuning out, if the public starts associating The View with fraud and federal investigations, ABC will act. And here's the reality. If ABC is thinking about letting her go, they won't hesitate. This is a network that has no problem cutting ties when someone becomes a liability. And right now, Sunny is looking like a huge liability. The allegations are too serious. The silence is too obvious. the backlash is growing. And if ABC thinks that keeping her on the show could do even more damage to their reputation, she's done. And let's not forget, this show thrives on debate, controversy, and pushing the envelope. But there's a difference between stirring the pot and burning down the kitchen. And when one of the co-hosts is in the middle of a federal case, it's no longer just a scandal, it's a network crisis. Because how much longer can she sit at that table, debating ethics, politics, and justice while actively being tied to a case involving fraud, hidden cash, and an FBI raid? The longer they don't talk about it, the worse it gets. Because every second of silence looks like protection, like a cover-up, like ABC is trying to sweep this under the rug. And the public, they notice. Social media is already calling them out for ignoring the elephant in the room. People are questioning why they haven't addressed it, why Sunny is still on the show, why they're treating the scandal differently than all the others they've criticized. And let's be real, if this were about a conservative politician, a Hollywood star, or anyone else, they would have torn them apart by now. The tension is thick. The silence is telling. And if ABC is already weighing their options, Sunny's seat at The View might not be safe for much longer. Because at a certain point, the controversy becomes the story. It overshadows the show. It overshadows the conversations, and suddenly, everything is about Sunny. And that's not what ABC wants. She might think she can ride this out. She might think she can sit there and pretend it's not happening. But ABC has one job: to protect the brand. And if it comes down to saving The View or saving Sunny, we all know what they're going to choose. Sunny Hostin isn't backing down, at least not publicly. In a strong response to the allegations, she's calling this entire lawsuit nothing more than a smear campaign. According to her, this isn't about fraud, corruption, or stolen millions. This is about American Transit Insurance trying to weasel out of paying legitimate claims. And if you ask her, she's the victim here. She's not alone in this fight, either. Her husband, Dr. Emanuel Hostin, is standing firmly by her side, denying everything. No fraud, no shady billing, no hidden millions, just a coordinated attack to bring them down. And they're not just playing defense, they're coming out swinging. Their legal team, led by high-profile attorney Mark Garagos, is already preparing to strike back. And if you know anything about Garagos, you know he's not the kind of lawyer who plays nice. He's representing some of the biggest names in the business, and now he's setting his sights on American Transit Insurance. They're threatening a massive countersuit, one that accuses the insurance company of defamation and demands a staggering $5 million in damages. According to them, this lawsuit isn't just wrong, it's malicious. And if they have their way, the real guilty party won't be the Hostins. It'll be the people who dragged them into this mess in the first place. But let's be honest, how believable is this defense? Because right now, it's their names in an official lawsuit, their home that was allegedly raided, their reputation on the line, and the public, they're not exactly convinced. Because if this really was a baseless attack, wouldn't they be providing concrete proof to back up their claims? Wouldn't they be making major public statements, showing hard evidence that this is nothing more than an insurance company trying to dodge payments? Instead, all we're getting is more legal threats, more carefully crafted responses, and absolutely no clear explanation for why the FBI is even involved in the first place. They can fight this as much as they want. But one thing is clear. This isn't just going away. This isn't just another fraud case. This isn't just about some rich doctor allegedly scamming the system. This lawsuit, it's historic. We're talking about the largest RICO case in New York history. That alone makes it huge. And here's what makes it even worse. The alleged victims aren't just wealthy corporations or big businesses. Many of them, they're taxi drivers, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, hardworking people who don't have the resources to fight back. People who, if these allegations are true, were used as pawns in a multi-million-dollar scheme. Think about that for a second. If what's being alleged turns out to be true, it means these drivers were sent in for unnecessary procedures, forced to undergo life-altering surgeries they never even needed, all so that someone, allegedly including Dr. Hostin, could rake in millions in fraudulent insurance payouts. And the punishment? If Dr. Hostin is found guilty, the consequences won't be a slap on the wrist. We're talking severe penalties, financial ruin, medical license revoked, and yes, potential prison time. And here's where things get even more serious. If evidence comes out that Sunny was directly involved, she won't just be looking at a PR nightmare. She won't just be facing career fallout. She'll be looking at serious legal consequences. Because if they can prove that she helped in any way, whether through financial manipulation, legal loopholes, or covering up her husband's alleged crimes, she won't just be the TV host caught up in a scandal. She'll be a co-conspirator. And if that happens, the consequences won't just end her career. They'll end everything. This scandal isn't slowing down, it's escalating. Every day. More details emerge, more speculation grows, and more people start questioning everything they thought they knew about Sunny Hostin. Whether she and her husband are truly guilty, or if this is, as she claims, a targeted smear campaign, one thing is clear. This controversy is shaking the foundation of her career, her credibility, and her entire public image. And the timing couldn't be worse. With social media fueling the backlash, legal battles brewing, and The View facing mounting pressure, Sunny is at a crossroads. If she somehow manages to clear her name, it'll be the fight of her life. But if these allegations stick, if more evidence comes out, if the case against her husband and the hidden money leads straight back to her, then this could be the end. Not just of her time on The View, but of everything she spent years building. The fallout from this case could have lasting effects, not just legally, but professionally, socially, and financially. And let's be real, public perception matters. The court of public opinion has already turned against her, and ABC knows it. Networks do not take risks on liabilities, and right now, Sunny is looking like a big one. This story is far from over. The legal battle is just beginning, and there's no telling what new revelations could come out next. But one thing is certain, people are watching to see if she fights back, watching to see if she folds, watching to see if this is the moment that takes her down for good. So what do you think? Can Sunny Hostin survive this storm? Or are we witnessing the downfall of one of daytime TV's biggest personalities? Let me know in the comments and be sure to stay tuned, because something tells me this is only going to get messy, eh?